Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. Now this photograph here is okay. So you're in a very large. Okay, so the more than half of the image is dominated by. I'm assuming this is your hand of you holding up something to the camera, and on it says something like Zhejiang University, and it's a brown.
Yes.
I don't know, it's a brown object with a gold print on it. And you're in a large room where I can see some students or something in the background. Or whoever's holding this or making the photograph is in an audience. So you can just see the part of the leg and what could be a bag. And so what is this image, and why? What is the symbolism of it?
This image is one of my most recent achievements.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, the story has mostly just evolved around myself from my childhood,
Sure.
Growing up to my present stage. So, like I said, although I've missed some stories, you know, a bit here, I got an international scholarship to come to China to study for my master's degree in marine chemistry. So on this day was my graduation ceremony, and this was my graduation certificate. For people who know China very well, they know that Zhejiang University, if you are in any, if you find yourself in any difficult situation, probably with the police, immigration, and this is a foreign student from Zhejiang University, they look at you, oh, this guy must be doing the right thing, getting into such a top university. They know that, oh, the government will not just admit
Sure.
any kind of person. So it was a very, very important, and a very touching day for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not easy to graduate from a university. In fact, it's not easy to have a bachelor's degree, not to talk of having a master's degree
Mm-hmm.
from a university like Zhejiang University.
So
So
Zhejiang University is in what city? Listen, I'm completely ignorant.
Zhejiang. Yeah, Zhejiang University is in Zhejiang province
Okay.
in Hangzhou.
Okay. And what about this university really stands apart?
They stand apart in their engineering, and they also stand apart in their marine science. You know, I got awarded the marine scholarship. You know,
Yeah.
so it's one of the top 5 universities in China that have strong background in marine science.
Okay.
So that was under one of the programs that I was able to come in. So I took the photo, that's
Right.
my hand there.
Right.
So the background you can see, it's a degree awarding ceremony for those that have successfully completed the program. So it was a 3-year program, master's, a 3-year program. You have to work hard. You have to publish. You have to get a publication, which is not easy.
Sure.
It's a very, although my recent philosophy is that publication is a skill. Once you start and you're consistent with what you do, you'll be able to find it easier as time goes by.
Sure.
So for someone starting out a career in academics, you definitely know that having your first publication is not gonna be like a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very tough period for me, but I'm very happy. I was able to scale through. I was able to successfully conclude my program.
Yeah.
So that's why I titled that. This is my reward
Yeah, for
for
sure.
the
For
last 3
sure.
years hard work.
So, I mean, this is marine chemistry. So, why did you choose marine chemistry of all things?
Yeah, a very interesting question. I thought I wasn't going to go there because of our time. You know, climate change is one of the issues, it's one of the most pressing issues right now.
Yeah.
Climate change and global warming. So through my program, I'm able to study the global carbon cycle, especially with regards to the ocean, like ocean carbon cycle.
Okay.
You know, for viewers who don't have the background in climate change, the CO2 that we breathe out, it's called a greenhouse gas. And this gas is trapped in the atmosphere, and it has the ability to trap heat. Instead of the heat to escape into like space or the vacuum outside, it traps this heat and sends it back down to Earth. So it gradually increases the temperature of Earth. And so the process is a little complicated, like the chemistry of the process is complicated. You have the CO2 in the air, we have the CO2 in the water.
Yeah.
So whenever the CO2 in the air is more, it gets into the ocean. Whenever the CO2 in the ocean is more, it escapes and gets into the air.
Right.
So the chemistry of all this leads to like the clear understanding of what's going on with our climate.
Sure.
Is the climate getting warmer? At what rate is it getting warmer? So that's basically what my study was about.
Did your degree have so for example, a master's degree? Some masters are shaped around some research. Some masters are less around research. So was yours a research-based degree, or was it more of a...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like it's a research-based, the 3 years program.
Right.
Most times when you find a master's of a 3 years program or even 2 years, once it's more than 2 years, you should know. Most often, a research-based program.
Yeah.
And mine was 3 years. And like I said, you have to publish. You are not just a thesis-based master's. You have to write a manuscript and send it to a journal for peer review.
Right.
After the manuscript is accepted, then you can finally graduate and find yourself in this graduation awarding ceremony.
What was the title of your research thesis?
Oh, the title of my research thesis was like spatial and temporal variability of CO2 and SE flux in the Pacific Ocean. I worked on the North Pacific Ocean.
North Pacific.
So, yeah, I worked on North Pacific Ocean.
So what was your field research like? How long did you spend out at sea?
I didn't spend time at sea. Every project's aim and objective is kind of different, and there are so many limiting factors. Like funding and like the availability of the equipment.
Okay, hold on.
Challenges we face in academic work.
Hold on.
You know that.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I have to ask you. Okay, so let's start that again, because look,
Can you hear me?
it's funny how once we start talking about this stuff, all of a sudden the signal goes bad. So, okay, how about you tell me again what you were just mentioning? So,
Yeah, I think the signal went bad. I didn't know it also affected your side also.
So, but for example, like, did you use primary field data, or were you just doing analysis of field data?
Yeah, I was doing analysis of field data. I didn't go into the field myself.
Right.
Like I was saying, like I used the very, very by area, surface area.
I have to stop you. I have to stop you. Stop. It's funny how now that we're talking about this stuff, all of a sudden the audio goes bad. So can you repeat? Can you repeat the last minute, please?
Yeah, I was saying, like finance is one of like the major things in like it's one of the major criteria in order to carry out a very, very comprehensive research in terms of the temporal coverage and the spatial coverage. In China, we have 4 seasons. So these seasons, there is a lot of variability in terms of like the carbonate parameters or the characteristics of features in the ocean. So we have to take readings like data readings all throughout the year. Finance is very important. So, for example, in order to rent a ship, a research vessel, for you to like carry out an expedition per day, you should be spending nothing less than maybe 20,000 or 30,000 US dollars, if I'm not even underestimating, because the machinery, the time at sea, the welfare of the crew and the scientists on board, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
And imagine if you need to get a very good quality data, you need to spend a lot of time there. So the project was not having that much fund. So we opt to use the secondary data,
Right.
and which I also found like very, very useful because it helped me build my analysis skills in terms of working with very large amount of data.
Right.
So we use the secondary data from different organizations. Like there are several collaborations, like in like oceanography, for acquiring data. So we used such data from those different organizations, and we're able to get a very comprehensive like database to carry out our own research.
Right. And this is for Northern Pacific. And is this something that fed into other studies or to other policy, or like where do you see your research fitting into the bigger picture?
Yeah, how my research fits in. My research, through the kind of research I do, will be able to tell if the ocean is taking more carbon dioxide, more CO2, or it's releasing more CO2. At present, the ocean is taking in a lot of CO2, and this is not so good for like the environment, because this leads to the more the ocean takes up CO2, the more the ocean becomes acidic, and this leads to like a global phenomenon which you might have heard of, ocean acidification. Ocean acidification, like the name says, acidification, acid. Nobody plays with acid. If you play with acid, you get toasted. So when the ocean becomes more acidified, it's very bad for like the organisms in the ocean, the fishes, the crabs, the snails, in fact, it's very bad for all sea organisms. So especially the organisms that build their shells using calcium. When the ocean acidifies, it dissolves these calcium building organisms.
Yeah.
And they are not able to build their shells anymore. So this is going into like the scientific aspect. So I don't know if maybe people will be able to grasp what I'm saying. But in to cut the long story short, we are able to quantify how much CO2 the ocean is absorbing, at what rate is it absorbing, and the seasonal variation of how the ocean is behaving, given different processes that take place, like upwelling, river input, upwelling, and some other physical and biological activities taking place. So all this contributes to how the CO2 is being taken up by the ocean.
Right. Okay. In terms of your department, basically how large of a network of researchers and students and professors are there?
Yeah, it's a very large network, not just in China, but like research is about collaboration. If you want to go far, you have to collaborate with people in like similar field in other places, because they will definitely have their own observation and they will definitely have their own interpretation. That's why everybody, when you do your research, you have to publish your findings. What did you find here? And I'll tell you what I found in my own place. So that's what makes like the research community build up. So in our team, we have a very, very international team. People from China, people from the US, people from Europe, all collaborating together. The group, like, I won't say it's so big or so small, but at least there are certain aspects of like climate change and ocean variability is being handled by certain people. Like I said, in the project I worked on quantifying the ocean's uptake of CO2. Some people, I remember clearly, one of the professors working on like climate change intervention through carbon dioxide removal. So she was working on artificial upwelling and downwelling. For people who are not, who don't know about this process, upwelling is like a process whereby the water from below, deep down the ocean, is brought up to the surface. And this water is very rich in CO2, it's rich in nutrients. So when this water is brought up to the surface, we have fishes, we have like other small microorganisms. You know, the surface is kind of warmer due to the rays of the sun. So this enables photosynthesis, and there's a massive biological activities taking place. So in in regions like this, it's a very, very dynamic environment. So you have an event that is bringing up plenty nutrients upward, and you have an event that is clearing out this nutrient and CO2. So it's like a very complicated system.
Sure.
So there are some places where these nutrients are not available. So what some other people are trying to do, they are trying to like pass a pipe, just the way like gasoline and fuel are being channeled through pipes from one city to another.
Yeah.
So in that area of the ocean where there is surplus nutrients, there's a procedure called like artificial upwelling or downwelling. So whatever the case, they take from an area of surplus and move it to an area where there's a deficiency.
Right, right.
So in this way, they're able to balance and stabilize the environment. So people are working on several other options. A way to, like I mentioned before, ocean acidification. There's a way to counter the effect of how the pH drops. Some other people are also working on capturing the CO2 in the air.
Yeah.
Like I said, the CO2 we breathe out, the CO2 from emissions from industries and exhaust of cars. This CO2 pile up in the air, in the atmosphere, and it can't leave the upper atmosphere. So some companies are working on this excess CO2. I will call it anthropogenic CO2. Anthropogenic is another way of saying human induced CO2. Like this CO2, some people capture it. Some companies are trying to capture it and store it away.
Sure.
So the more we capture, the more CO2 we remove from the atmosphere, the better for our climate in terms of reducing Earth's temperature.
Sure.
Because if the Earth's temperature should keep increasing at the rate it is, there are so many severe consequences. Sure. Like in the polar regions, Greenland, they definitely experience a lot of melting. And once those ice melt, the sea level will definitely increase. You find like coastal cities will definitely be flooded. Places like Shanghai, places like my country in Lagos, Nigeria. So all the coastal cities will definitely feel the effect.
Right.
And there are so many like terrible activities that are going to take place. So that's why it's very important to stabilize the climate. So that's where my research fits in.
The beginning of the conversation really raised the awareness that your character and your values and your ethics are really important to you, right? And you clearly, have a different way of being in the world around you, right? So in terms of how you behaved during your studies, and now you get this scholarship. What is your overall feeling that you would like to convey to a person? It could be positive, but it could also be negative. How would you want to motivate people to become more aware of, or to connect better with how you feel and how you see the world?
Like I said, from the onset, you have to have a positive mindset. I know there are so many people going through a lot in terms of experience. Probably they're not having the best of experience. Maybe life issues are too strong or too heavy for them, and probably they are not getting the best out of their expectation in life.
Mm-hmm.
using my life as an example, from my humble background, I didn't let my environment and the kind of pressure that I experienced get to me.
Right.
You have to have to have a good focus.
Mm-hmm.
You have the focus in sight. Your final objective, the place you want to get to, you have to get there. Myself and many other Nigerians, like education is like one of the most important things every child should have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find like among the statistics, you find that many Nigerians, they don't just have like a bachelor's degree. You find most of like the highest PhD holders, you find them from Nigeria. So it's not like this is a must, but it's always an addition. It's always a plus.
Sure.
There's no knowledge that is wasted. So, and when you are going towards a master's degree and a PhD, you know that you are definitely getting more advanced knowledge of whatever you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of whatever the person wants or whatever the person desires, if you want to start a business, definitely it's not easy to get capital or to get investment. Don't lose hope.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you are doing at the moment, if you have a small job you have and you are able to save some money, just keep doing that. Have a good character. Wherever you're doing, if you want anything you're trying to do, try to establish for your future plans. Make sure it's solid from a very good foundation. You have to persevere. It's not easy. That's my story. It's not easy, and the road is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But if you have your final destination at mind that, oh, this is where I'm going, regardless of what encounter, I'm going to get to that place and I'm going to tell my story at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The rule of engagement is always the same. Yeah, you have to be focused. You have to be diligent. Your ethics, your work ethics, you have to have a good work ethic so that you'll be able to leave a good impression wherever you find yourself.
Charles Addey, you're
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you. Charles, thank you so much, man. You're a good man. You're really good. Thank you. I love what you're doing. And, now hopefully people will have seen you and heard you. And I look forward to seeing what else you do. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Take good care.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.